I love this question so much because I've done these techniques before. I've visited my 5-year-old self, and I've sat with my 8-year-old self, and funny characters when you really, well, me personally, when I sat down with them, I remembered how just how wacky Jack is, how little Jack. But I think my favorite would be like my 15-year-old self. I would go see my 15-year-old self, and what would be interesting is that my 15-year-old self, the good little Christian boy who teaches Sunday school and works at the preschool teaching kindergarten and the after school program, and going down the straight and narrow, and being everything that they want him to be with the gold star to prove it. I think if he saw me now, um, oh lordy, what would he say? Well, you know what, to be honest with you, I think if I walked down the street past him, he probably wouldn't give me the time of day. He would probably look at, if I walked up to my 15-year-old self on the street and I said, "Hey Jack, I'm you 15, 17 years from now," he'd probably look at me up and down and say, "Jesus be a fence," and start saying the rosary. And he'd probably say, "Move away from me, harlot, get thee behind me, Satan." Before he plucketh out thine own eye. He'd probably have to go to his prayer closet and lock himself in there for a few days just for looking at this Jezebel. But I don't think he'd believe me. Number one, he wouldn't believe me. I know he wouldn't believe me. But number two, if he did believe me, he would look me up and down and probably probably cry. He'd probably say, "What the heck have you done to me? We had goals and we had a plan," right? He would. Oh my gosh, yeah. He would not be happy. He would not be. My 15-year-old self would not be happy with me and my varnish and my eyebrows and my. He wouldn't understand it. He wouldn't understand it. But as much as what my 15-year-old self would tell me, as much as it would hurt me, I wouldn't care, because I'd probably say, "Listen here, you little fuck. I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Thank you very much." Okay. And I think maybe what I would tell my 15-year-old self is stay with God. Stay close to your source, because what you really derive from is love. And your source is going to pick you up, and your source is going to take you places and reveal things that your small itty bitty Christian boy mind at 15 years old can even comprehend or even fathom or imagine, Queen. And I would sit his butt down, and I would have a long conversation about what it is to be accepting of thyself. And I would also tell him to start wearing his varnish a little bit earlier, and I would tell him to stay away from Wet n Wild makeup, and I would tell him to remember this website, Fans Only. I don't know my younger self. I my 15-year-old self. Yeah, I think that this is what will happen. My 8-year-old self would probably be very, 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 very curious. My 8-year-old self would be a lot more accepting of me now, and he would be a lot more accepting of the idea that people actually do live in the future. Jack was weird even as a kid. 8-year-old Jack literally wanted to build a time machine because he wanted to go back in time and save his father from dying in a car accident. That's how much 8-year-old Jack was so that's what he really taught me, visiting 8-year-old Jack. 8-year-old Jack really reminded me of the impossibilities that I could imagine. And I haven't been able to go back in time and save my dad from a car crash, and nor do I think my 32-year-old self wants to do that, especially knowing what I know now. But my 8-year-old self was determined to grow up and be the next Doc. What's his name from Back to the Future? Anyways, there was a lot my 8-year-old self would change about the past that he did not. That he thought that he could help the future if he went and changed the past, but my 32-year-old self understands you don't change the future unless you change the now and heal from the past.